freaking first cut. Golly.
Welcome to the First Cut Podcast. I'm Rick Gehman, and this is your Friday episode for this week's Sony Open. Joining me to break it all down, Mark Immelman is here. Hello, Mark.
Yeah, hello. Happy Friday to you boys.
Happy Friday. I didn't know if you were gonna. I thought you were gonna go and say something more, but that's all it took.
It's a pensive Friday for me. I've been sort of quiet watching golf. Not many thoughts right now. Maybe I'll be inspired by the banter here in a bit.
All right, we'll see if we can spark some inspiration here. Greg DuCharme rounds out our crew for today. Hello, Greg.
Good evening. Happy Friday, boys. Pretty cool first cut after dark. And as you said before the show, Rick, our first cut of the year. Things are getting a little sweaty out there.
Yeah, the other thing is the cut number is set. It's going to be 3 under, which means that in all likelihood, Greg, well, there's a couple guys who could mess this up, but everybody who makes the cut is probably going to be within about 6 shots of the lead.
Yes, which is wild. And as you're watching these guys play, you know, some of the guys like Hideki Matsuyama, your Keegan Bradleys, some of the guys that are at 4 or 5 under par, they're just inside the cut line, but they're also just off the lead. It's such a strange place to play. I mean, I was looking earlier, Mark and I both have a matchup this week with Austin Eckroat and favoring Austin Eckroat or selecting Austin Eckroat to win. He was at 6 under. You know, he was 1 shot off the lead, and all of a sudden he's got to make birdie on 18 to make the cut. So it's kind of incredible how quickly things can change directions for you here on a golf course like this.
Yeah, Austin Eckroat not playing well on the second 9 right now, has 2 bogeys and a double on the card. But we've got a lot to get to because we've got to cover the first and the second rounds. We're going to try to do this a little bit strategically and put together groups of golfers. And the first group is Russell Henley and Sahith Theegala. Mark, you're going to get Russell Henley here. And both of these golfers, Russell included, started well. For Russ, it was a 66 on Thursday and a 67 on Friday. However, he had this thing pretty deep, and for at least a bit of time on Friday, had the lead of the Sony Open. A little momentum lost when he made a double on the 6th hole. That was his 4th to last hole of the day because he started on number 10, did not take advantage of number 9. So he played his final 9 holes in 1 over par, which is a little bit sour considering how the first 27 or so went.
Yeah, certainly. But it's kind of, that's from all the commentary I'm hearing from players on the course, that's kind of the examination right now, because the fairways are firmer, so the ball's running through doglegs and stuff, and the rough looks pretty healthy from what I was watching on TV. And if you're playing from the rough, the greens are receptive. But remember, these greens here are tiny, so if you're missing, all of a sudden, you know, stuff gets a little hair-raising. And I've seen once or twice where the rough grass that's only about 5 feet off the edge of the green has grown up enough. The grass is thick and spiny where the ball can roll up against it, and you can't get a club onto the back of the ball. So it's a bit of a backstop. So if you're missing targets, you know, it gets a bit difficult. Not that Russ misses many, but I would still say that after that double bogey on 6, which is, you know, 5's the real hard one on that front side, and 8's challenging as well. 6, it's not that difficult if you get one in the fairway. But after the double there, to come back with a birdie on 8, that's picking one up, you know, not getting one on 9, his final hole, which is like a long par 4 for these guys. Granted, it ordinarily plays a little downwind. It was into a quartering from the right breeze today, so perhaps a little harder, but still you want to make 4. But I'm guessing with the way it's stacking up, if you had said to him, look, we're going to get you in here at 7 under through a couple rounds, what do you think? And he'll be like, well, a little ragged there in Kapalua, you know, just finding my game. I'm quite happy through 2 rounds here because I know over the weekend I can blitz this place because I've got the game for it. So I think Russell's quite content despite that late double bogey you reference.
in at 7 under. As of right now, that's 2 shots off the lead. That could change. We'll see here in the next few minutes, and then maybe again in the next few hours. Sahith Theegala in at 6 under here, Greg. Back-to-back 67s, and the story for Sahith was similar to the story of Russell Henley, going along just fine, but losing momentum over the final 9 holes. He played those at even par with 1 bogey and 1 birdie, but is this a similar story? Hey, you're within arm's reach with half the tournament to go.
Yes, he's sitting at 6 under par, and it wouldn't be surprising this week. It would have been last week, but it wouldn't be surprising to see 267s on that winner's scorecard at the end. In one of these final 2 rounds, he's going to have to take it really low in order to win, whether that's tomorrow or Sunday. And 67's kind of your even par kind of around here. So these are 2 solid rounds, 2 decent rounds. The good news for Sahith is he got the putter going a little bit. He was able to gain strokes in both the opening rounds on the greens, and that's something he really struggled with at Kapalua. So it looked like after really struggling in the first round at Kapalua, getting better progressively through those next 3 rounds, he's rolled that over into some really good play here. Hasn't quite hit it close, hasn't quite gotten that opportunity to go on a little run where he makes 3-4 birdies in a row. And that could happen at any point for a player of his caliber. And it could put him right in the mix of winning this tournament.
So we are starting to build this leaderboard here. We've got guys that played 27 great holes. How about guys who played 36 great holes? We'll work our way up here. And we'll start with Zach Johnson, Mark. A pair of 66s highlighted by an eagle on number 3 today, in which he holed out from 158 yards. Certainly not too shabby there. And to see Zach Johnson just 1 shot off the lead might be a little bit of a surprise, because the last top 20 that he has had in an individual event, the 2023 Cognizant Classic, that event was still called the Honda Classic in 2023.
Yeah, both golf courses kind of ask the same questions, to be honest with you. You have to be accurate, which is his game. Just quickly to circle back on Sahith, I hate to be a Debbie Downer, but, all thoughts and prayers and whatever you want to send to folks out there in Los Angeles, given the horrific, fires and events that have unfolded. And Sahith is from the area, and he went to school just down the way there at Pepperdine. So I'm not trying to be drama alley here or whatever, but maybe his thoughts are a little divided. So perhaps the golf is a respite. Perhaps he's thinking about it some. Because they're still humans, even though they are superheroes with golf clubs in their hands. Anyhow, to Zach, he's in fantastic shape. He's kind of evergreen. He still plays exactly the same game as what he did when he was younger, winning majors. The reality is that he's hitting the ball exactly the same distance as what he did when he was winning major championships. I think if there's something that kind of goes when you advance in years, I can speak to this personally. As you know, some of the touch around the greens, things get a little electric, and you're not as useful as what you are. But, holding out from some sort of scoring club in the hand, that's what he does. Cool thing for Zach, even though he's in great shape, approaching 50, 72 holes is a lot. So it's a flat walk. I'm sure the legs will stay under him. And for him, that's key, because the kind of golf swing he has, where the club face is kind of closed at the top, he's got to be very aggressive with a lower body to keep that thing square through contact, because he likes to hit what he calls a little baby fades, but they actually draw ever so slightly. Because if the legs get lazy, he can turn that thing left in the blink of an eye. So, look, it's exciting. I'm not surprised. This golf course always spits out, 1 or 2 of the old timers, or, the wily old veterans, because the course lets you, it lets you bomb it, it lets you hit in the fairway. So good on him. I'm hoping this continues over 2 more rounds, because I think for Zach, after that Ryder Cup in Rome, I think this may be a pleasant way to quench some of that bitter taste in his mouth.
A pair of 66s for 48-year-old Zach Johnson. A pair of 66s for a man 17 years his junior. That, Greg, of course, Sepp Straka. If you look at what Sepp has been up to, it was a T9 at the Hero World Challenge, a T15 last week at the Century. And as of this moment, could change. Still golfers out on the golf course, leading the field in strokes gained approach. He's picked up over 6 shots this week in that category, adding another with the putter. That's certainly one way to make a lot of birdies around Waialae.
Think about what Mark said regarding Zach Johnson and the Honda Classic, or PGA National, asking some of the same questions. Where's Sepp Straka won PGA National? And also another golf course with some Bermuda grass. He nearly beat Will Zalatoris down at TPC Southwind. So look, this is a completely different style of play than we see from Zach Johnson. This is robotic golf. This is the kind of golf that makes it hard for 50-year-olds to keep up on the PGA Tour, because time and time again, Sepp Straka is pounding the fairway and pounding the greens and giving himself just birdie putt after birdie putt after birdie putt from 15 feet. This is a simple brand of golf, and it looks like he could do this for, every day for the rest of his life. It's a great golf course for him, and he's clearly feeling really good about his golf swing. You got to like where Sepp Straka is at the halfway point.
I want to turn our attention to some of the big movers on Friday, some of the low Friday rounds. And Mark, I'm going to tee you up here with Lee Hodges, a man that you have heaped praise on plenty on this show. A 68 on Thursday, and then a 6 under 64 on Friday with a bogey on the scorecard. He's a PGA Tour winner. He has not always been in contention, but that is where he is going to be entering the weekend in Hawaii.
Yeah, it's a crazy sort of a case study, honestly, because if you're out there and you're watching him practice and warm up and stuff, the guy doesn't miss the center of the club face, and he is so accurate. I mean, the guy can hit it, through a keyhole at times. I feel like he's just so accurate off the tee. And he's picked up some power now over recent seasons with his coach, Stephen Purrier, who's been his coach like forever. So there's trust there. And he's won before. He's won at every level. I'm personally a little surprised he hasn't won more. But that being said, in the same breath, I can understand the fact, because the tour is just so strong. But it's time now. I feel like it's time for him to make a splash. He's a winner, and a lot of the folks on the leaderboard he's beaten before, and now he's won the tour, so he has that confidence. He's proven to himself he's won under pressure. And he spoke of that 3M in some of the comments I was listening to, of that being the best golf he's played in his life. Well, the way I'm kind of seeing things percolate and kind of, transpire, I feel like he's got more of that stuff in front. So if there's someone I have my eye on this leaderboard for a weekend run, it's Lee Hodges.
Up 40 spots from 44th to a tie for 4th as of right now going into the weekend. And Greg, I was going to round out this segment by talking about Kensei Hirata, a name that probably was not on anybody's radar before the week. And I was going to say, okay, he's tied for the lead. Well, not anymore, because we have a new leader. We have gotten into double digits, but we're going to give Hirata his due, because he has shot as of right now the round of the day on Friday and moved up 42 spots. If you haven't heard of him, I wouldn't blame anybody. This is just his 6th PGA Tour start, but you look at a global OWGR page and you've got 4 wins, I believe, in 2024 across the Japanese Tour, the Asian Tour. These guys are good, and they're good all over the world.
Hey, he won in September on the Asian Tour. You mentioned the success on the Japan Tour as well. Just 24 years old and trying to make his way over to the PGA Tour. He came and tied 8th at Q School, which was really close to getting a PGA Tour card. And I'll tell you what, he's close to earning it again this week. If he performs the way he did today, he's going to be really tough to beat. And you look at this, it's kind of the tale of 2 nines. He still makes 3 birdies on the back 9, but 5 birdies on his front 9 to go out in 30. And he was just all over the flagstick. I mean, he made birdie putts. I'll pull this up here, but they were not very long. It's 5 feet at number 1, 4 feet at number 2, 10 feet at number 3. He makes a 2-footer for birdie or I should say, hits it to 2 feet at number 6, adds another 4-footer at number 10. In those first 10 holes, he hit 5 approach shots inside of 15 feet. Really impressive stuff, a laser-like performance. And on a golf course like this with a lot of par 4s, just 2 par 5s, you really have to, it requires 2 high-quality shots in order to make a birdie. And that's exactly what Kensei Hirata did today.
Rick,
Yes.
they just keep coming, don't they? I mean, I've heard of the name. I hadn't seen him play. Then I turn around. I'm like, oh my gosh. I mean, like every year there's new names and they're better than what they were last year.
They're crawling out of every corner of the globe, and they are younger and they are better. It is insane.
Mm-hmm.
I know. And I don't think it's stopping anytime soon. I'll tell you that.
No.
We are going to get you to the big names in the field. We are going to get you an update on that feisty little cut line. And then we're going to get you to the top of this board, which is ever changing at the moment. But first, we're going to take a quick break and hear a word from our partners. And we're back, boys. Let's get to some of the bigger names. The pre-tournament favorite, Hideki Matsuyama. Mark is through to the weekend, though not really in prime position. 67-69 for last week's champion. And the story here has been the driver. It just has not been good. He's hit just a shade more than half of his fairways. He's losing a stroke off the tee. He's hitting his irons well, no complaints there, but Hideki does not look like the superhuman version of himself that we saw set a scoring record last week.
It's a mindset shift to come from Kapalua to Waialae, because the fairways here look about a third of the size of what they were last week. Last week, if you're missing a fairway, it's kind of like lost ball on most occasions, where you can play it from other fairways, but you've got palm trees and bushes and thick rough all over the show. But it's just a completely different animal when you're playing this golf course compared to last week. And we kind of forecast this a little bit in the pregame show, didn't we? I mean, we spoke of Hideki where, he'll win and then he'll withdraw the following week, or he'll win and then he'll kind of disappear. Who knows why? I think maybe is a little lethargic after last week's victory. It's always hard to follow up a win. I don't care who you are. And then when I say that, then I'm going to bet on someone after he wins, and then they're going to do well the following week and one and done. It's just hard to predict, but I just feel like coming off a big win last week, a lot of emotional energy for Matsuyama to pull that off, because playing with a lead is not easy. And then coming here and you take your foot off the gas some and you start missing balls off the tee. You kind of start playing. You can play from behind the 8-ball quickly around this golf course. And then you don't have the mojo going on. And I feel like with the way the lead's hanging around, maybe he finds something over the weekend. But right now he looks like a bit of a shell of the guy that was playing last week.
Yeah, I wouldn't say he's out of it, but he's going to need something special on the weekend. And Keegan Bradley, Greg, another one of the popular options for this week. He was closer to the top of the betting board than many of his peers. And after a slow start on Thursday, where he was 2 over through his first 7 or 8 holes, he has started to play a lot better. It was a 69 on Thursday, and he is currently wrapping up on 18 right now, and he is 4 under. He's playing from the fairway bunker there on 18, but maybe a chance to make another birdie and push this thing to 6 under for the course of the tournament. So Keegan, after that slow start, is trying to get things into gear here.
Yeah, 6 under. If he's able to get this in at 6 under, he's got himself right in the mix. I mean, at 5 under, you're in the mix too, but coming back after a slow start like that is a really good sign. And as you watch this round unfold on Friday, you're seeing a really strong performance. Keegan's hitting the ball really well. He's given himself a lot of birdie opportunities. He had 1 3-putt from the only bogey he made today was a 3-putt from 60 feet or so. So I would say he's even putting well. and he's given himself really good chances. The putts he's hitting are keeping him interested. A lot of knee bends at the holes. He can't believe that it went right when he thought it was going to go left, and they're just burning the edges. So I'm looking at someone who's driving it well, keeping it in play, giving himself birdie opportunities. He'd like to get him a little closer, but I'm telling you, he gets this thing to 6 under. You're going to see Keegan in that competition mode.
Rick, I have theories, right?
I do.
And I have Scotty in a white hat theory versus Scotty in a not white hat theory.
Yeah.
What are we doing with a mustache, Keegan Bradley? Can we get some thoughts on this? Because the way the dude was playing, I don't know if this is a bad bet he's lost, but that thing has to go for the weekend if there's going to be any sort of a run, because mustache Keegan is no bueno.
You can tell he's not used to it, obviously, because he won't stop touching it. Yeah, he will not stop touching it. If he's been on PGA Tour Live, we've seen every shot he's hit. He is touching that thing 900 times a day.
I don't know how you don't touch it, but he looks like a fire chief.
Yeah, you're right. He kind of looks like a policeman, with a black eye. No,
yes.
Like, no, let's not do this.
He's the Ryder Cup captain. He looks like the chief.
That's got to go if we're going to make a weekend run, in my opinion. And I need him to, because I've got him in a bet. Come on, Keegan.
Yeah. And
play.
By the way, the fire chief thing that I just said, my thoughts and prayers are with all the firefighters out there, and in a week like this, we are so thankful for them. So, didn't mean to be off color in any way.
No, nobody took it that way, but good call there. And the other, to put a note on that, Sahith that Mark was mentioning earlier, being from Chino Hills and going to school there at Pepperdine, is donating funds for every birdie and eagle he makes this week. So they're raising money in the process. I was going to mention that earlier and it slipped my mind. So I'm glad it got back to me there. Let me give you one more update here on a big name. Corey Connors will not be around for the weekend. A 72 on Thursday, played better on Friday, but a 67 is not going to get it done. He is outside the cut line with no hopes of getting in. Speaking of the cut line, it is firm. It is going to be 3 under. Everybody who makes the cut is going to have a chance to be in this thing, but a couple of guys on the wrong side. Billy Horschel will not be around for the weekend. Austin Eckroat, Mark, will not be around for the weekend. This was teased earlier. He had this thing to 6 at one point, and then he bogeyed his second 9 on Friday, bogeyed 11, doubled 14, bogeyed 15, and then parred 16, 17, and 18. He gone.
Have you noticed how conspicuously silent I've been on the group text, huh? Now, if this was one and done, I might have been crowing a little bit.
Davis Thompson gone. Cam Davis gone. Luke Clanton.
That's in my freaking best bet for the weekend, I think. It's been a bad start to the year.
Luke Clanton gone, Greg.
He didn't play all that badly. He didn't quite make the putts. He didn't quite make the birdie. He just could never quite get it going. And it's hard. You got to hit high quality shots. I think Luke Clanton was 1 under par for the week this week. So he'll miss out by 2. He never got any streaks going, which was disappointing, but understandable.
Rick, you know how refreshing he was. He was on Smiley's show there, whatever it's called, Happy Hour. And here's this guy, you interview most of these PGA Tour players, and they're kind of forthcoming, but largely they keep stuff close to their vest. And they'll sort of give compliments, but they don't really give compliments. Every comment he made about every golfer is like, man, you guys have got no idea how good this is. And that shot, man, that was incredible. And I was like, dude, you are so refreshing. But I'm keen to see after a couple of years if you still speak this way.
He was watching those shots like I watched those shots. He hits it and he was like, whoa, did you see the way he did that?
It's so refreshing. I was like, I couldn't help but love this guy. And even though he's ruined my best bet, I'm going to forgive him because he's cool that way.
He is cool. I'll tell you what, a lot of popular guys gone. Chris Kirk gone. Benny On gone. Harris English gone. Joe Highsmith gone. Mackenzie Hughes, not even close. He's gone, and barring a miracle run on his last handful of holes, Daniel Berger will be gone. So, I mean, it's not just Luke Clanton. It's not just Corey Connors.
And I want to do this. I want to give our boy Greg a huge shout out, right? Because I'm dropping kids off at school or something the other day. So I'm listening to Sirius XM, and Greg is on Michael Breed's show, and Greg got to speak, which was biblical in itself. And Breeder goes, yeah, my sure shot for the week or whatever it was is Mackenzie Hughes. And Greg chimes in. He goes, he doesn't have the best of records around this place, Michael.
No, he doesn't. He doesn't.
Oh, boy. Come on, Greg.
I think that was our producer, Billy Dowling, who picked him. And Billy played with Mackenzie Hughes earlier this year and beat him. Now, of course, he got strokes.
Okay.
So it was a handicap match. But I was like, Billy, you beat the guy.
So in other words, he's infatuated now. I've met a PGA Tour player, and he's the best guy in the world. Yeah, I know.
It's not surprising that he missed the cut this week, but his play was really poor, uncharacteristic of Mackenzie, even on a golf course like this.
Yeah, it's a golf course that has given him trouble, but you can't come in dead last when you're Mackenzie Hughes.
No,
or close.
This was bad.
We've got a pace setter or two at the top. Patrick Fishburn is in a pair of 65s to get to 10 under par. And Mark, his Friday round was very, very clean. He had a birdie streak on 12, 13, and 14. He started on 10. And then he wrapped up with birdies on 5 and 9 to cap off his round. Had some very good summer finishes. Played well at the ISCO. He was in contention at both the Barracuda and the Procore. He finished T8 at the RSM Classic. So Patrick Fishburn has put together a decent stretch of golf here, and he's going to try to continue this as he could be the leader going into the weekend.
Yeah. Here's the story. The first time I watched this guy hit was down in New Orleans, and he was playing alongside Zach Blair. And he ostensibly carried Zach Blair, and the course set up great for them because
Mark, he could physically carry Zach Blair.
Yeah, well, exactly. But the course is long, and the alternate shots set up so he could drive it and Zach could hit irons. It was great. But I'm watching him loosen up, and I was like, gosh. I was like Billy Dowling watching Mackenzie Hughes, okay? And, I've seen them, but this guy looks like a linebacker. I mean, their shoulders like this. He's 6'4". He's imposing in size like Ernie Els, who's a big dude. And I'm like, I don't want to use infatuated, but I'm like, this boy is for real. So I've kept my eye on him. And I took video down there of his golf swing. He let me do it, which was cool. And I've looked at this, and it's like an athlete with a bat in his hand. He hits it so well. So I put up a post on Instagram on December 15, and it's Patrick Fishburn. And I put the caption, name this PGA Tour golfer, who incidentally at the time was second strokes gain approach. And I got all sorts of answers. I got some folks to write. And then I'm like, I feel like he's about to break out. And man, did I get some heat. You got no idea who you're talking about. Who's this guy? Man, he'll never beat so-and-so. He'll never beat so-and-so. Well, look who's showing up here in the start of 2025, because Patrick Fishburn is flat out good. He's powerful, yet he hits shots. He's sneaky good around the greens. And since that little bit of a charge, they had a chance to win down there in New Orleans. Rory and Lowry pulled it off in the end. I feel like he's just growing in stature. And then he played well out there in Utah in the fall. And all of a sudden, this guy, it looks like he's almost believing in how good he can be. So 10 under par around this place, good gosh. I mean, he could manhandle it if he so desires. So I'm keen to see over the weekend how it goes, but he's got everything he needs. I have no doubt in that.
Patrick Fishburn listed at 6'4", 220. Zach Blair listed at 5'6", 155. Probably the biggest difference between partners there in Zurich. I can't crown Patrick Fishburn our weekend leader just yet, Greg, because we're waiting on one more. And we are waiting on Denny. Denny McCarthy is also at 10 under par, but he has got 3 holes to go. And it's been a colorful scorecard here on Friday. His first 3 holes were birdie, bogey, bogey. And then he has basically birdied every other hole since then. We know that Denny had what it took to win in Texas, but got nipped by Akshay in a playoff. It seems like it's just a matter of time before he gets into the winner's circle. And as of right now, he's going to give himself a really good chance at the halfway point.
You know what Denny McCarthy is known for? His putting
do.
ability.
That's right.
Now, this week, he put a new putter in play. Just kind of said the old one wasn't looking great to him. The normal gamer. Something wasn't looking right. So he's got a different putter in play this week. And early in today's round, he missed a couple putts from inside of 5 feet, which is very uncharacteristic. But he has, as you mentioned, Rick, he's birdied just about every other hole since those 2 early birdies or 2 early bogeys, excuse me. And guess who's leading the field in strokes gained putting for the week? That would be Denny McCarthy. So he's playing really good in his strong areas. He's getting the ball in the fairway more often during this round, hitting the ball a little bit better. So Denny McCarthy looking healthy. He's had some hip issues last year. He's looking healthy, looking happy, and he can still roll it.
Rick, quickly a nugget on Denny, and this is inside golf here. I'm sure you've heard he's called us out often because as soon as he's on television, we're like, there's the best putter on tour, undisputed. And he says to us all the time before rounds, he's like, I want to be known as a ball striker. Now, I noticed this week he's striking it well, the iron game, that is. But when he hits, it's the coolest thing. Now, I'm a golf teacher deep down, and the legendary Ben Hogan used to practice. Let me get my hands on the screen here. So he's holding with his interlocking grip. Denny interlock like this, like that way. Hogan overlapped. But Hogan used to hit balls without the thumb and the forefinger on the club with his right hand, his bottom hand. And that was to kind of eliminate excess right hand work through contact, which destabilizes the club face and causes a lack of control. So at the Memorial last year, I think maybe last year, everything blurs, but I've got Denny's group and he's loosening up, and lo and behold, here's Denny hitting with thumb and forefinger off the shaft. And I'm like, may I ask you a question? And he goes, sure. I'm like, you're doing that drill, that Hogan thing? And he goes, yeah. He goes, it really, really helps me with my ball striking. Hence the, I want to be known as a ball striking thing. So it's uncanny to me how I think with that, as I've watched him play, he's eliminated that fast to the left side, and he's pretty reliable with the ball flight that he hits, and it cuts through the wind nicely. So the way he's putting, I feel like if there's someone who's got to be beaten, now after I've glowed about Patrick Fishburn, the way Denny putts in the iron game, he's going to be a tough out.
Well, Mark, you're not getting any disputes from my friends in Las Vegas because they have Denny McCarthy as the current favorite to win the Sony Open. He is 3-1. Patrick Fishburn, 7-1. Tom Kim in third at 12-1. Sepp Straka, Russell Henley, 14-1. And then this further you scroll, you can get some more interesting options like, I don't know, if you still believe in Sahith Theegala, he's about 35-1. And Brian Harman hanging around at 30-1. Greg, when you start to look at these, and I haven't seen where Keegan wrapped up his round, if he's done yet, is there anything that stands out to you?
Well, I think that the best play, I mean, McCarthy and Fishburn have played great, but the round that looks the most repeatable to me, the most sustainable, is Sepp Straka over the first 2 rounds. And I know that his number's pretty short at this point, but this feels like a Sepp Straka kind of golf course. It feels like a Sepp Straka kind of week. And I think he may be the toughest guy to beat over the weekend. Going down a little longer, I think Theegala has a lot more in the tank and could also be a good option, even though he's 4 shots back.
Pair of 66s for Sepp. He's 14-1, so still decent number there. I will put a bow on Keegan Bradley. He made par on 18, so he's in at 5 under, which is currently 5 shots off the lead. And then depending on what Denny McCarthy does. Mark, when you see Josh scroll through that board, did anything catch your attention?
Yeah, I'm waiting for Eric Cole to pop up.
Hmm.
I really, really am. And look, we know he's an Iron Man. He plays a lot. He loves golf. I, I I just feel like on this golf course, which is not overly long, you can hit a draw around there because a number of the holes turn from right to left. They turn in both directions on the backside, but a draw is going to do you no harm there, and he can hit that thing with his eyes closed. And he putts great. And the grass is very similar to South Florida, where he lives in Orlando. He's lived there for a while. So now down in South Florida, Bermuda grass, this is kind of right up his alley. And it's I've been watching out for Eric for a while, and I think he's poised to have a nice week. So he kind of stands out to me a little bit there.
He is still out on the golf course and he's having a 2-pencil day. He's got 3 bogeys and a double, yet he is still under par, and he's got 17 and 18 to go. He is at 8 under par currently, and we just saw his odds change in real time from 11-1 to 9-1. So he is getting shorter there. So Eric
Moving
Cole,
markets, Mark.
yeah, Marcus moving.
Man, oh man, I didn't know I had that power.
Moving markets as we speak. Okay, gentlemen, pleasure as always. We are going to be back on a Sunday night to get you a champion for the Sony Open, and look ahead and chat about anything else that has happened in the world of golf between now and then. But before we go, producer Josh, thank you very much. Does all the hard work behind the scenes. Mark Immelman at Mark_Immelman. Greg DuCharme at The Real GFD. And you can find me at Rick Run Good. This has been The First Cut. We'll catch you next time.